Please like and subscribe to the Couch and the Rube YouTube channel. Also download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtherube.com.
What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, our Wednesday show, presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar, the original Couch and the Rube sponsor. And if you want to have Front 43 and Cask & Company, either or all to yourself, you can't exactly do that. But they do have a private room, and you'll see groups now. You saw a soccer watch party for the World Cup final. You're seeing a lot of that sort of stuff. You can rent that room for your party, for your group, or just for yourself. If you need peace and quiet, whatever it is, and you want to be catered to at Front 43 and Cask & Company, do it in the private room. Go to caskandcompany.com. You can make a reservation, call for the private room there. If you're going to Cask & Company, especially on the weekends, I recommend a reservation. You can caskandcompany.com. Easy reservation system there. You can write in, I want a booth, I want to be on this side, Front 43 side, Cask & Company side, whatever it might be. Caskandcompany.com, just north of Frandor on East Saginaw in Lansing, near the Lansing-East Lansing border. Jason, how you doing, brother?
It's the American way, except America has gotten soft.
Really good pianist.
People are nuts. I'm not nuts. They're nuts.
Let's go green. Go God.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah.
I was just checking out our Instagram page for the show. I got to say, this is one of our better ideas.
I think so.
That's fell into our lap.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that you are just always on high alert if I bring it up now. You're just to defend intern Nolan. Some of these posts are unbelievable for a 21-year-old, though.
Are you picking on intern
If you
Nolan
haven't
again?
learned by now, if you're not following Norm, you're losing money with a screen grab from the Twitter account.
I love it.
From the Masters picks, though.
Oh, well. It's okay.
You're happy with the way the Instagram page is going?
I'll be honest, I hadn't checked it out yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we have to give intern Nolan a grade? Because it's easier to talk without him here. Because he's a great kid, but he doesn't know how to bust. He doesn't understand the intern dynamic, I don't think.
Well,
because after the show on Monday, he called me a prick, and I went red for a second. I was like, "Wait, what did you just say?" He was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, out of pocket. I'm out of pocket." I'm like, "It's okay, but what are you doing? What is happening?" He's just very.
I don't think he called you a prick. It was something else. It was I
thought it was prick.
It wasn't a fat pig. It was. I forget what it was.
It was something.
It caught you off guard.
He came right out, and I was just that was the first thing he said to me, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck did you just say? Anything?"
Yeah.
And I know it's different times because when I was an intern, you get your balls busted. That was a part of the whole program. Is you got your when we're not busted he's a great kid. We don't mean to make fun of him here. I'm talking about just simply we gave him a task. And how do we feel about it currently is all. And then I didn't know that he didn't have certain files because I sent him in an email, so I understood that. But when I saw, he had a week and a half to do the Instagram page, and I'm just going let
me say this. I asked him if he could get it done by the end of the month. So some of this is on me.
This is Couch.
Yeah.
Classic Couch.
And also most internships, and he's done other internships, and I've done internships, when you show up at an internship, you might get your balls busted here and there, but not most of them aren't like ours. But we air everything here.
Yeah.
Right? And we air.
I think people enjoy that part. Listen, it's nothing bad against the kid. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Really good kid.
Great kid.
Are all 21-year-olds like that, though? Or they finish your sentences and all that? A 20-minute Jalen Duren take? I mean, Jesus H. But great kid.
You're rough, man.
How am I rough? What is this?
He's our intern.
I understand. But, we got to give him some. Come on. We're trying to help him in his life, in his young life.
How much direction have we actually given young Nolan to this point?
I feel like we're doing it now.
Okay.
If he doesn't listen to the show when he's not here, so it's not like he's going to hear this. But I feel like constructive criticism, when I bust your guys' balls at the LSJ, I love local news and I support you guys. But come on, you guys need critical thinking here. But I don't mind if people come at me. People say the music sucks for the show and things suck, and I'm like,
Right.
okay.
But we're men. We're 40, right? I mean, that's the whole
he's
thing.
a man, dude. He's 21. I mean, what are we treating these kids like? It's all I'm saying. It's like
I'm saying we should give some constructive advice off air before we only do it on air.
Oh, come on. Oh, so you're uncomfortable with this then? I'm sorry.
I'm not uncomfortable with it.
Well, it sounds like you're uncomfortable with it. You're saying we should do it off air, and I was just talking. I thought it was a good show topic. We had him do this Instagram page knowing that if something, it's just an interesting kind of practice that we're doing here with intern Nolan.
Mm.
So if you had to give him a grade right now, like through his internship as we speak right now.
It's in the middle. He'll get a beautiful grade from me, whatever it is.
Incomplete.
Yeah. He'll get full
Why?
report.
Does that help a young person?
Yes.
Or does what I'm doing help a young person?
Have we really helped him to this point?
Probably not. But I didn't ask to be an intern on this show.
There was once a day where Mark Hollis, the former Michigan State AD, told a story after Michigan State and Jackie Joseph, and everybody was upset at the softball program for going 0-20 in Big Ten play. And everybody's, they should fire her. And he pulled in his staff, the story goes, and I'm paraphrasing here, and just said, can anybody here tell me one thing they did to help the softball program this year? And nobody could raise a hand, right? And it was like, well, maybe we ought to look and turn. That's all I'm saying is we yeah.
I'm sorry to make you uncomfortable about this. I didn't mean this to be. I just figured we talk about stuff on the show. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. It's our stupid Instagram page.
Right.
Intern Nolan can come in here and have fun, but if you're going to sit there and ask, if you want to be, we want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Big deal.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm not. Yeah, I think today's gonna be a good show. We got Joe Rexrode coming on here momentarily, and we're gonna talk about state of college football, future of college football, the drama at Michigan and Michigan State, and get into all that good stuff.
See if he has interns. Do they have interns on Robbie and Rexrode?
We should ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask that question. And and look, Joe has a 22-year-old son and a 19-year-old son.
So then he would know.
He knows the age group well, and they're very different kids. But so we'll get into that. We're going to talk some Tigers as well a little later. We'll talk some Lions. I think we're going to have some fun on those, and of course Norm's golf picks as well.
Framber Valdez.
Just a brutal situation with the. Watching
Someone posted last
Tigers
night,
ace right now.
Worst Valdez, Exxon or Framber? Remember that? Only you and I would know. Guys our age, the Exxon Valdez it was called.
I do remember. It was 89, 90, whenever it was.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing
a bunch of
oil covered wildlife being pulled out of the Gulf of Mexico, and
that was when Dawn soap was born, right? And they had all those commercials washing the ducks off. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's the cutest thing. I need to buy some soap."
People who missed the 80s and 90s missed a lot. The Challenger,
dude,
the Exxon
86,
Valdez.
yeah. They made us go back home to school, or from school back to home.
They wheeled in these TVs in class when we were in first and second grade, and it's like, let's watch this. Oh, that didn't go as planned. Okay.
See, I didn't know. You didn't know when you were that young, 7 years old. You're just watching it, and all of a sudden there's an explosion. You're like, oh, is that supposed to? Why is the teacher crying?
Yeah.
What is happening? She's running out of the room. Like, okay. We get to go home now. Hell yeah. Can we have a Challenger every year?
Anyway. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, Joe Rexrode from The Athletic on college football, Michigan and Michigan State. Couch in the Roof, our Wednesday show, presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar.
Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Firekeeper's Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. From your phone, tablet, or laptop.
Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Please like and subscribe to the Couch and the Rube YouTube channel. Also, download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtherube.com.
Couch and the Rube, our Wednesday show, presented by our original sponsor, Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar near the Lansing-East Lansing border, where my next guest had plenty of drunken nights throughout his life. Joe Rexrode misses East Lansing so much, Jason, that he sent his only two sons to school here and is threatening his daughter with being exiled to East Lansing as well. Joe, how you doing, man?
Well, she claims that she will not be following the family tradition, so that's fine. That's fine. We've given plenty of tuition to this university at this point.
When you've done that, like you covered the university forever, do you feel do you feel like you have the right to hold them a little more accountable when they do things that aren't great?
That's a good question. Like if I was still on the beat now and I had one through and one going into sophomore year, would I be like writing more columns like about the administration and stuff, academic programs? Some of the, are we sure we really need a new chemistry building, guys? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, man. It's weird because for one thing, like even talking like, well, we've probably talked about this before, but like Jamel Hill, like the ESPN thing of a few years ago, where like, hey, everybody, like, be big fans of your alma mater and all that stuff, which I hate. And like even Charles Robinson, like we have him on our show once a week and talk NFL and stuff. And sometimes he'll text me, about like MSU stuff, and I'm like, so now like you're like fanboy, really? Is it like I guess I should be more like that, but I mean I still write about college sports, so I'm comfortable not being like that.
Yeah, where was Charles Robinson fanboy when he was writing about Rashid Johnson back in 2003? I mean, that's that's
exactly. Oh man, the famous the 3-day series, like each for anybody who doesn't remember that, Oakland Press front page, 3 straight days, and I swear it must have been like 10,000 words a day, right? Like it was like the entire life story.
Back when we had space and all that stuff, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So you obviously you cover college football and college sports primarily now for The Athletic, based out of Tennessee and also in SEC country and everything. But you, so there are a number of things I want to get into, and based on several things you've written recently as well. But a little bit topic of the day stuff first on what you make of what you've seen at Michigan over the last few days with the findings sort of coming out, the president being probably more, I think he was harder than anything else that's actually on paper or written. No actual written report for $12 million. And then Warden Manuel on his way out. Did they get this right? Is this $12 million well spent? What do you make of it all?
Well, I mean, I'd love to see the actual report. I mean, do you think that, let me ask you right away, like, do you think there is a report that exists somewhere?
It sounds like there isn't one from the reading today, which is amazing. First of all, I want to know who thought lawyers were the best to investigate stuff. Lawyers are the best to, they also know how to hide stuff because this is what they do on either side of, why not hire journalists or former journalists to do it? They could have done this whole thing for $100,000. They hired, just easy, and I don't really understand the idea. $12 million is absurd. I would be pissed off if there anything at the university, there wasn't enough money for anything because of this $12 million. And I understand that's not really the way it works, but there should have to be some sort of donation to some program that's fledgling on campus if you can spend $12 million or waste it on this stuff. Yeah, no, I don't know that there actually is one, and that's what's amazing. You'd think just for the sake of the actual work that was put in that there should be a report, the amount of time and money and energy.
Yeah, $12 million for a few, a few quick verbal updates. Yeah, I like your idea, like the University of Michigan, like ventriloquist club or something should get like some kind of a kickback on this. But no, it's embarrassing and ridiculous, but it's also increasingly, all around, like FOIA and all these things. It's getting harder and harder, and schools are getting smarter. But also, to me, like what Michigan has done here is, to me, it's just way too far. And there should be, the problem with this is you get into like the Michigan fan, whatever, Michigan State, Ohio State fan, and all the screaming about it. But like Michigan fans and alums should be upset about this, And it doesn't mean that you have to take away the championships or anything. But this is embarrassing, an embarrassing way to treat your stakeholders. To not be transparent. And look, I look at the whole thing and I wonder, was Santaono actively covering up Connor Stallion stuff? And I also absolutely look at this and say, okay, so Ward Manuel knows where a lot of bodies are buried, and so he'll get to, he'll come out at some point with like Sam Webb at some interview and say, yeah, see, I just decided I was stepping down. And I mean, it's transparent. It's very obviously a negotiated firing, but he can, he gets to go out this way and BS his way out of here. And it seems to me like there's a healthy amount of fear in what he might do if it would have gone the other way, or what he might have done.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan is not alone here. I mean, Michigan State, for example, I mean, the battle to get the, 6,000 documents of on the Nassar. Yeah. I mean, that was, that's still a thing, right? And it's just transparency, and I understand that the people have reasons sometimes that things shouldn't be released, or they're worried what that'll do to, victims or people coming forward. I get that there are things that have to be occasionally, scribbled out. You have to protect some names. I'm not saying every word and every name of everything needs to be out. Everybody in the world understands that, and there is, I think, a bloodthirst for a lot of things, and some people aren't in this for actual, transparency or anything. They're in this because they want to see people suffer, and they want to see, Michigan go down and all that sort of stuff. And but you are this massive entity in Michigan, a public taxpayer, funded university to some extent. And, it just feels like, and you've spent all this money and you've sort of claimed that there was going to be something at the end of this, and then there isn't. I don't think Michigan's any worse than a lot of other places. I mean, I just can't imagine most schools doing this all that much differently. Maybe there are some. Maybe I'd be proven wrong. I just think this is one of those things, and I mentioned the other day the idea that we just have to remember that, Michigan isn't special in any way. Like, they are just like everybody else. When they get caught doing something, they're going to do everything they can to mitigate the damage. And in the last few years, there have been a number of things there that are worth mitigating, I guess.
Yeah, they've had a lot. And great point on Michigan State. Look, to me, I feel like the whole ESPN thing on the sexual assault allegations, I think there was some vindictiveness in the way ESPN went at Michigan State. And I think it was about Michigan State's bad PR decisions at the time. And you're right, a lot of places. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. Like, would everyone do it exactly this way? I don't know. Michigan is different in some ways. I don't know if we can conflate these things, but Michigan has been, for a long time, way out ahead in terms of terrible access for media, like for sports. Now, again, does that necessarily apply to this? I don't know, but like they've been not helpful and even obstructive, I think, for media in general for a lot longer than some of these places that are coming around to that. So I don't know that everyone would have done it exactly like they have done it, but I mean, certainly I agree. They're not alone. This is the trend. Now, does someone, now again, if there is no report, then I guess it's not a concern. If there is something, if there are things information gathered somewhere in some way, does that ever come out? Because then to me, you've really blown this situation. If you're Michigan, you've created the story of not being transparent at all, and then you're still going to have this come out. I mean, they must feel like they're okay. Like Rachel Bachman obviously got that little nugget about what Ward Manuel knew, but that was clearly from someone who wanted him out.
Mm-hmm.
That same person probably doesn't want all of the findings to be found out publicly.
Yeah, two of your colleagues have talked about this, just what it's like covering Michigan. I mean, Nick Baumgartner talked about, 2010, a real change over there, and just sort of shutting everybody out. And I think it was probably like that to some degree before that. And the greatest example to me of is the Tigers beat writer for The Athletic, Cody Stavenhagen, who we have on the show fairly regularly. He left covering Michigan football after like 1 year to go cover 6 horrible Tiger seasons. And the whole time he would say, I prefer this. It was like awful baseball, hard to cover, hard to find interest. And he was like, I'd rather do this than try to cover Michigan with zero access and just not really being helpful and all that. And I thought that was always the greatest example of sort of what it's like to cover them. But covering them is different than like I don't know. It feels like I just don't know what the PR hit means if we move on from this. There's certainly I don't think by mid-September this is all that big a conversation. I guess as they hire a new AD, it'll be a conversation. As they get a new president, it'll be a conversation a little bit. It just we're in a world now where transparency doesn't always win out, norms don't always win out, and we just move on to the next thing. So I don't know that this is actually going to hurt Michigan in any way, and that's probably something they're well aware of. All right, let's talk a little Michigan State. The Kevin Guskowitz coming back, kind of a weird situation there where he says he's going to leave, gets introduced at Clemson, and then comes back as Michigan State's president. And in the meantime, though, Jay Batt takes this job at Kentucky that I'm not sure he wouldn't have taken anyway. I'm not sure exactly what was everything that was going on there, but and he's become more of a figure that people dislike than you would think. Even though ultimately, if Spartan Ventures works to some degree and Pat Fitzgerald succeeds, those are his 2 hires, and he would have left an impact in a short period of time. What do you make of what's going on at MSU and the state of things there?
Well, based on what I had heard before any of this, in terms of athletics, this seems to be a pretty significant positive development for Tom Izzo and everyone over in athletics. Pat Fitzgerald, to get him back.
To get Guskowitz back, yeah.
To get Guskowitz back, like you said, it's a weird situation. It's pretty wild. The board issues remain and are just a part of the tradition, really, the history of Michigan State. But that seems like a big deal. You tell me. I'm guessing, Tom Izzo, like he has forever, wearing 10 million different hats, probably had a decent amount to do with this. But I think it's a bit. Hearing him when I came up there last year talk unprompted about Guskowitz. He said a lot of things like this publicly too, including recently. But there's no question that it's a big deal to him. And anybody who follows college sports closely, the president is a big deal for the chancellor when it comes to athletics. In a lot of cases, just as simple as getting what it wants, as opposed to having to fight for everything that it wants. So that's a big deal. And with Bat, it's easy. It's probably, like you said, it's a little more pronounced now that he's gone, but I didn't think he was especially likable. Again, that's fine. Tennessee has a carbon copy of Jay Batt and Danny White, and it's basically this is just a suit with a scowl on his face, and he raises money. So shut up and whatever. He'll be happy. It's just so. But it feels like maybe an opportunity for Michigan State to get someone in there who, could have a little bit more be a little bit more relationship based. And I don't know, is Mark Hollis still in play here?
I would be surprised if he got it. That doesn't mean he won't. I have not. I have not spoken to him. I know he's been pretty out there on his interest, right? And but from what I understood, he was interested last time, and so my guess is, from what I understand, I think Guskowitz has probably talked to him previously. So what I don't know is how Kevin Guskowitz feels about him and feels about going backwards, and then you have somebody who had their own ideas coming in and now run a department that has Spartan Ventures in place, that has that a lot of people have changed over to that. I mean, that you've got to go with that. Like, you got to run with that. And the guy who's the interim AD, John Palumbo, who I like personally a lot, I think is probably a bit more personable than Jay Batt, was already the CEO of that, right? So yeah, it's a weird thing. You got to get somebody who's comfortable to some degree running the former guy's thing, because that's also what Guskowitz wanted when he brought in the former guy. And I think that's an interesting dynamic. I'll be curious to see how they pull that off, and whether somebody like Hollis would seriously be considered to do that, and how Guskowitz feels about him. And look, I mean, Hollis had an unbelievable run. He's the best AD in modern times at Michigan State, and I don't think there's any question about it, right? So, does he have a second act in him? It's a good question, and I think you're right on Izzo and Gus. I mean, Izzo called me after one of the pieces I wrote early this summer, and because he's just such a, like, usually he didn't actually read the piece, but people told him it was a good piece. That's he usually calls me because people told him he should be upset about the piece even though he didn't read it, and then this time people told him it was a good piece. Anyway, but he was just, I mean, he clearly, and you could tell he was thinking through how much he needed to get involved and wanted to get involved in trying to save this, and how much how highly he thought of Guskowitz, and how much a blown situation he thought it was for the university. So I think he had a major, a lot to do with him staying, is probably some other people did. We'll see. All right, so media days have started. My favorite time of year. Not a coincidence that I scheduled the final week of parental leave this summer during Big Ten media days. That was a plan.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. But SEC media days happening now. You wrote an interesting piece recently for The Athletic. There was things we miss about college football in the 90s, and a lot of them, you also wrote things we don't miss. But the things we missed, I thought, I mean, it's, it was it was a lot rivalry based. It was the no mega conferences. It's the major versus major college matchups, and it's the conference championships mattering, all that stuff. And it feels like those are still things everybody wants, and yet we can't seem to get there. And you get things like Greg Sankey, alluding to the idea that, yes, they could break away. I don't think the SEC ever breaks away, because I just don't think that would work. But when you look at where things are, 2014 playoff probably down the pike, player compensation just kind of without any real rules or anything that's being enforced, mega conferences over rivalries. We seem to be headed away from the things that made this sport and made us love it. Your assessment on what's next, where we're headed, and how concerned should we be that the sport that we're going to look at in like 10 years isn't one we like that much?
Yeah, I think the Saturdays in the fall will continue to be what they've always been for the most part. When you get a big game on a campus, does the fact that we are de-emphasizing the regular season, we're taking value away from the regular season, does that ever change that dynamic? Obviously, I mean, I don't know. I hope not, and I think that there are people in charge of college sports who take that for granted and don't believe it will. I mean, you have to be somewhat concerned, right, about any of it, though. But I mean, that's still that's the best part of it. Is you just the NFL just cannot match a day on campus, for a big game in college football. But so much of the other things have been lost to greed and short-sightedness and just different factions fighting for their own larger piece of the pie as opposed to working together. I think you're right. Like 24 teams is probably happening. I hate it. I cannot. I feel like as much as we can look at these conference commissioners and lament how much power they have and find fault with all of them, I think Tony Petitti is a real problem for college athletics, because I don't think he gives a rat's ass about any of it. I think he is flat out a game show programmer who's just in to juice up the stock price and get the hell out. And it's unfortunate. And that's on the presidents in the Big Ten. I mean, ultimately, right now, the SEC, this bluster about breaking away, it's ridiculous. I mean, first of all, like the president of Georgia actually saying, oh, yeah, if we had an SEC championship, we'd just be in the national championship. I mean, no one thinks that. Most people in your own conference think you're an idiot for saying that. Now, there are other levels of breaking away, and they've talked about governance, and there is talk about, can we lead the way in some form of, collective bargaining or luxury tax or whatever. I mean, it sounds complicated. It seems like that's going to have to be an all-in enterprise for the sport. And to me, Graham, when you talk about where are we going, I don't see how we get to these limits, these quote-unquote guardrails that everyone so desperately wants, if the laborers aren't participating in the process.
Right.
I mean, again, people who say there's no way that can happen, well, BS, man. I mean, there are ways to make it happen. It's complicated, especially with different state laws and all that, but like the work on that should be well underway. And with some people, I mentioned Danny White earlier. Some people don't like him, but Danny White, I will give him credit. That guy has been saying for 2 years now, what are we doing? It's collective bargaining. It's the only answer. But now we're waiting to see if this bill gets to the floor next week. And I'm not optimistic about that. So I'm just kind of rambling now about what a mess it is. But look, I am not in the camp, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I have not been in the camp of it's inevitable that the SEC and Big Ten are going to ultimately create this new thing, take the bigger brands of some of the other leagues, and whoever's in, you're in, and this is now the NFL light, and then everything else is basically dead. I don't think that's inevitable. Some people do and have, but I think it's certainly possible. And I mean, that's just a doomsday scenario. We should want as many parts of this country involved in this sport as possible, with even if it's a tiny glimmer of a chance to have hope. And we just have to have more cooperation and less. It's just so disappointing to see a guy like Greg Sankey, who has come up through college sports and I think cares about it. It's so disappointing to see him just come out and just spend his time at the podium with SEC talking points. And again, it just reminds you that these people are out for their interests. And that is a big part of why we are where we are.
It's a huge problem. Yeah, Tony Petitti is. I mean, the faster he's gone, the better. People have to remember when they're commissioner, you're a steward. You don't own this.
Right.
It's your job to help get the sport from one to another and leave it in a better place. It drives me. There's not one thing about him that's really impressed me in terms of. He doesn't have some vision that's like. If you could sell the 24 teams, like nobody's said anything that makes sense about the 24 teams as a playoff. Like this is why it would work, and this is why November rivalries would still play out, and this is why it wouldn't just tax players to no end who are playing in the championship game, and this is why the season wouldn't have to go to the end of January. Like these are all the things that wouldn't happen negatively if we had a 24-team playoff, and here's how. There's none of that. All that shit will be there. We'll lose the impact of certain November games. We'll lose the conference championship stuff even further, and the season will just continue to be to a point where, I lose steam with it. You get deep into the NFL playoffs, you get deep into college basketball season, you give me a national championship game on a Monday night in January 20th, I'll probably watch it, but I've forgotten it's on before. I'll be honest. I've been like, oh yeah, that's tonight. I mean, it's a little. I don't know. I think the sports I think there's a real danger that not just that a generation from now people don't feel as connected to the athletes, and if you do other things to make things not as special, you could have a real problem in terms of total eyeballs. And when you look at the Super League that was proposed and certain parties that still want that in European soccer, what prevented that was the fans of the big clubs.
Right.
What you need, it was
Right.
Manchester United people like storming, their own, looting their own team store, saying we're not putting up with this. And like that, you need that in this case. You need Michigan and Ohio State and Alabama to say, this is not what we want, and that you don't get any of that in college football. It's just greed and much more Americanism from that. Okay, another piece you wrote recently, and this is a question I put out there a lot over time. And
is this another listicle? I'm the official listicle guy at the Athletic.
Well, is Michigan State a football school or a basketball school? And you did it with a number of all these Power 4 programs and everything. What the school is, and Michigan State is one of those. I say it's a football school. I've said it's a football school forever. Every time I put out a Twitter poll on that, it comes back basketball, and I've always said that that's partly because people don't understand what makes a football school or basketball school. It's not about most success. It's about what truly stirs the soul. And I think it's football, even though it's pretty well balanced. You wrote this, Michigan State football. This might surprise people, but take it from Tom Izzo himself. He works at a football school. He's the Big Ten winningest hoops coach with a national title and 8 Final Fours. But this isn't about fan. This is about fan passion, not program success. Tracing back to Biggie, Duffy, and Bubba, football is king in East Lansing. You stand by this opinion as well.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, this idea came to me, and I was like, my editor Mitch Light was like, "What do you think about this?" And the main reason I was like, "Sure," is because I could just write this blurb and take a shot at my haters like Matt Charbonneau. Like, how many times have we, like, with many beers in us, like, scream? Like, the most I've ever screamed at Charbonneau was definitely when you and Diamond Leung were in the car. We were screaming about the Sandusky and like why sanctions for a football program for that are embarrassing and ridiculous. That was my opinion. Like, we screamed. Remember that? We screamed at each other. But
yeah.
We've had some heated conversations about this one. And so again, if you define it, if you're saying this is a blank school and you're defining it by the best program, then absolutely it's a basketball school. But yeah, I think that the passion, and it's great passion for basketball. It's a great environment. I mean, I think Breslin is a top 10 environment for sure, I think, right? I think safely a top 10 environment in college basketball, probably a top 6 or 7 environment. That's big time. It's a great basketball fan base. But if you have to make a choice about, like, it's like, take every Michigan State fan in the world and say, okay, one of these programs, pick a program, one is going to win a championship or be a championship program from now on or win it this year, and the other one's going to go to hell. I think the majority of people would vote for football on that. So that's close. I mean, it is balanced. I mean, I think there are some places that it's not easy to discern. And I think Michigan State is actually one of the more interesting ones because, it's like as a program, I mean, it's basically I would consider it a tier 2 program. Like, if you're going to do blue bloods of Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Carolina, then Michigan State's, I think, on the next level with, I still would put UConn there. That's another source of debate. But, the Louisvilles and whoever else might be kind of in that. Some go in and out. Syracuse was there. Now they're not. Louisville, whatever. But that's significant, right? I mean, Michigan State football probably hasn't been, well, I suppose they probably were there for a few years of D'Antonio. But for the most part, over time since the Duffy era, it's just been too scarce. But I still think the passion is with that sport.
No, I agree. And look, there are Thanksgiving week games for a 4-8 team where there's nobody there at Spartan Stadium, and you go, it's not great. But if they're winning, if basketball was losing, I think if both things were equal, if you had 500 basketball and 500 football, I think you'd see it slightly towards football. All right, last thing, and I appreciate all the time. You co-host the show, Robbie and Rexrode, on ESPN 1025 The Game in Nashville every morning, which is still amazing to me that you do that. You get your ass up and do that every day. Do you ever have an intern at the show?
Yeah, we have interns that help out pretty regularly.
What do you have the interns do? Like, we have an intern, and it's and so we're working on that, and all of a sudden it started to become a conversation piece on air, which is a little dangerous.
Well, is your intern getting like college credit for this?
Yes.
Okay. Then you gotta you gotta come. I mean, ours does a lot of like storing of audio stuff, learning how to do the board and all that stuff, and just like storing stuff in different places. I mean, honestly, there's some stuff that the interns do that I could never do. I don't have me, man. Like, in some ways, my brain is like a 3-year-old's brain when it comes to like anything like technological or like basic logic stuff. But a lot of that stuff, mostly here and there. We'll have the intern weigh in on something or something like that. Not a lot of cleaning or anything like that. I mean, to be honest, if you think about it, in a 3-hour show, it's a lot of sitting around. But there's at least learning the board, so that, because we've definitely have had a lot of interns over the years who have then eventually kind of, okay, now you're a part-time producer, and then have gone on to be producer. I think our program director started as an intern, so that's one thing. Is there is a pathway to advancement. So I would think that if you have a really good intern, possibly taking your spot in the microphone should be a carrot that gets dangled.
We need a pathway to advancement. That's what we have to do here.
That's right.
Joe, man, it's great to talk to you as always. I'm glad Michigan State is playing at Tennessee this year, and I'll get to see you down in your neck of the woods as well. So I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for coming on.
I'll be up soon. So real quick though, give me the how's parenting going? How's everything going?
It's great. I mean, it's 90% of the time a blast. She's definitely entered a phase where she tries you a little bit. She'll go 0 to 60 from happy to inconsolable once in a while. But that's to be expected in that 3-month range, right? So, no, it's great. It's all consuming, but it's life changing and gives you a different set of purpose. And I'm not quite sure how I did full-time job. Or how I'm going to when I go back. But, that's a problem for like 2 weeks from now. So I'll figure that out then. How did you do it? More.
That's how I just drank more.
Okay.
Basically,
I'll stock the cupboard.
No, I've got some great tips for you, man. But we can't get into it now. But I may even print up a little pamphlet for you, because I handled it so gracefully. So
I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon.
Okay,
and I hope to see you up here soon. That is Joe Rexrode from The Athletic, former Detroit Free Press and Lansing State Journal writer covering Michigan State.
I mean, Joe, we have time. It's July. You can give them all the advice now if you want to. It's like we're doing anything we got. They have 3 hours.
Bit by bit. Just let's
Holy
go down.
H.
Yeah.
I love that. I just drank more. Kids, man, they're great. Go from 0 to 60, he says. Oh. I didn't know whether or not you were talking about Nolan the intern or Cora. So,
your
description.
No.
Is this making you uncomfortable? We don't have to talk. I'm sorry. If we're bringing up the intern.
No,
I think you uncomfortable.
I think at this point, we're all in. I don't think there's any going back.
Oh, but I don't think we've done anything. I don't think I've said anything out of school.
So here's what I would say.
I think people that listen to a show, I can only speak from someone that's listened to radio and podcasting for the past 25 years or whatever. And what I enjoy is when they incorporate some of the interns and kind of bust chops a little bit. I just find that stuff, I don't mean it as serious. Like, it's not a serious thing where I'm trying to take digs at people. So we do it on certain times on this show, not just interns, but other people. And it's just to have fun.
I think it's fair game. We have them on and everything. I think my own thing would be we talk about a pathway to advancement. I don't know that on our end we've done all that much to foster a learning environment, and probably need to do a little bit better on that, just as well.
Oh, so this is a critique on us then.
Yeah, both. Yeah. So
I know, but what are we supposed to? I mean, what are you talking about? He wants to. You said that he wanted to be on air before he came on the show, and I'm like, okay, so let's get him on with a hot take or something like that. And he's been doing that. I think we're.
That's true.
That's
true. That's true. I should ask him what more he wants to get out of this, and then we should work towards that. That's what we'll do.
All right, you ask him.
I will ask him. Yeah, we'll do that. Anything else you take from that conversation with Joe?
I just imagine you guys yell. Like, what does that mean? Like, you guys scream at each other on the way back, talking about Sandusky.
Such a great crew. I mean, one of the best things about the Michigan State beat, and not many places have this, and because I know people who would hang out with us from time to time during like NCAA tournaments when you have some of the Michigan writers or more columnists, or just gets to, is how amazed they were how well we got along. And Joe created that long before I was around. Like he really fostered that. And then Charbonneau was really, I mean, I was nervous when Charbonneau left because he was just such a great hang. And we've had it since then as well. But like it was, and Diamond was scared to drive in the winter, so he was always in the car with us. It
depends. I'm with Diamond on that sometimes. Yeah. Good Lord.
We had great discussions, but we're always friends at the end of the night. And when Joe was around, we never missed last call. We do now, but back then it was like he would have. I remember leaving the press box after a football game at Nebraska in like 2015. Might have been the one game they lost in 2015. And Joe had talked to the SID there, Seamus, who's a wonderful guy, who had called a bar to hold the doors open so we could get last call. We're racing down the street.
This guy has young kids.
Yeah.
That's why he had to up his drinking game.
Yeah, so that's.
And I've told this story before, but Joe helped me out immensely back in the day when I had to host this Spartan show at AM 730 when I was working with Stout at the tail end there in 2007 or 8 or whatever. And they're like, "Yeah, do you want to host this Spartan Power show?" It was going to be a pregame Michigan State football show. And I was like, sure, because you want to do those things when you're a young person. You're like, oh, they tell you, just do everything people offer you. Not thinking about that you're going to have to come up with content. Your producer doesn't know anything about sports. So I asked Joe. Joe would come on every Saturday. I didn't pay him. I don't think I did. I'd still owe him something, I believe. But he was the nicest. He would come on and burn a half hour with me when he didn't have to. And I will always remember that. He's a great dude.
No, he don't. No, he's
dude. Yeah. It was so bad. Man, I'm so glad we do not have audio of some of that show. That would be embarrassing. It had to have been complete ass.
If somebody could find that over, it was 7:30 the game?
Yeah, you know what I needed? I needed someone to be like, hey, dude, hey, kid. Well, I don't think I was a kid. I was like 26, I think. But I was like, this show is ass, and here's what you could do to improve. I just think that helps younger people than just like kid gloving it and going like, oh, no, this Instagram page is fantastic. Great job. Anyway.
Nuts.
I mean, come on. Norm's picks a little better than that. But,
we'll get into all that.
It makes Graham uncomfortable, so that's what makes me happy about the whole thing. Jesus H, dude. You would have thought I came on here and just started roasting the poor kid. I just thought the after show interaction was funny. Like, it's an interesting thing. Like he doesn't. It takes like when you bust balls. It takes. It's not like an art form. You don't want to make it sound bigger than it is, but it takes some things. Like an intern shouldn't be coming out and going, hey, prick. Like, I know he was trying to be funny, but it didn't come off that way at first.
No, and
that's why I saw it was like a half second of seeing. I wasn't going to do anything.
I remember we all make those mistakes at certain ages. I remember being an intern, and I don't remember ever doing that specifically. But sometimes you make a joke where you're not really part of the crew to make that joke yet. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first job in Freeport, Illinois, when I lived there, and I was meeting with the executive editor for a promotion as sports editor. And I referenced something, at this point I'm 23 years old still, maybe almost 24, young guy. So I was 5 years out of high school. And I referenced something in high school, which if we reference something 5 years ago, that's post-COVID almost, that's not that long ago. And I just about some behavior I had in high school in this, and he just looked at me and said, "You're not in high school anymore." And it didn't land. It was like the worst, most awkward moment of the conversation.
That I'm jogging my memory, I have one when I interned with Dave Mad Dog DeMarco. It was the sports guys, and I was 18 years old. And Jeff Hager, who is the host, and Mad Dog was the co-host at that time. But anyway, he told me to call, like in the commercial break. He was like, hey, call, I think we used to call Dave Ackerley on Channel 6 or whatever. And then I'm like, I don't know why I said this, but I'm like, why don't you call him? And he goes, get the F out of here. He kicked me out of the studio. I remember that. And I deserved it at that time. Because, like, why would I say that? You know what I mean? So I chalk it up to when Nolan said that to me on Monday. I was like, it wasn't a big deal. You know, kids are young and whatever. And I was a little younger than what Nolan is. But, yeah, but those things, that's what I learned from that. But, yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah. Your response said it all. He corrected himself pretty quick. It was
absolutely. But, I mean, I corrected myself. But I'm saying if Jeff would have just said, like, you know, if he would have laughed that off, I mean, I wouldn't have learned anything. I learned, you know, you got to just be respectful when you're working in an environment like that. So.
No, I remember missing a deadline once with freelancing for the Chicago Tribune by like 4 minutes. This is one of those lessons where you have to learn early back in the days of newspapers where you miss deadline. Doesn't matter if it's 4 minutes or an hour. You miss deadline. You failed at your job.
Yeah. And
I was freelancing like a UIC Loyola basketball game on the road or something. And man, Dan McGrath, great sports head at the Chicago Tribune, who he started in Freeport, later got to know him well. He came out and watched the game with me on the sidelines. But this is before all that. I'm still in college. And he just picked up the phone and started yelling at me. I'm like a freelancer on the road. I'm like, oh, God, my career is over. This is it. And, you know, what I later learned on certain deadlines is the things you say to each other on deadline, you don't, you know, okay, here's a great example of that. I'm in Freeport, and we had some deadline issues, and if we missed by like 3 minutes, right, we had a whole meeting the next day.
Yeah.
And that same guy who I had that meeting with, who wasn't thrilled with the way I referenced high school, came in to watch us, and this is when I was like the interim sports editor at the time, watch us put out on a Friday night high school football. And my buddy Todd Merchant was standing on the other side of the newsroom over a computer in the sports department. For some reason, there was no chair under him. I don't know what was going on. And he's diddling with, you know, one last edit, correction, something. Oh. And I just yelled across the newsroom, sit the fuck down and send the motherfucking page, like that. And he dropped to his knees and sent the page. And my boss,
what the fuck?
My editor loved it. He was almost in tears. He was so happy. And he was like, yeah, this guy's got it. Like that. And then again,
this guy's got it.
An hour later, we're having beers at one of our apartments or a bar or wherever it was, and everything's good. But like in that last hour to make deadline, and that's what sucks about the world of print going away for journalists and young folks is, you know, I got a real taste of that for a while. And like that, the energy of that last hour, man, is something else. When you getting the paper out on time is like everything that matters in this world, and even if you're in some small town somewhere, like that stuff is an energy.
And now that's all gone.
No, it's just on the web. We'll post it whenever you're done. It's great. It's not. It
was the same with local television too when I worked there. I mean, it's still live, and but back then it was just like everything came down to this moment, 6 o'clock news, and all the pressure that came with that. And yes, there would be the same kind of yelling, you know, if you mess something up, because people, you know, these reporters and anchors are working all day on this stuff. Yeah. And then it gets down to us on the technical side. If we screw something up, there would be anchors and reporters coming in and yelling at us. And I'm sure Eastlick has good stories too. And, but yeah, I just kind of miss that whole vibe. Now there's one person on the floor and floor directing, and the anchors are running their own prompter now. It just sucks. It's a fun job. It's one of the best jobs ever.
I think one of the biggest problems with journalism now and getting young people to stay in the business is it's always paid like shit when you got out of school.
Oh yeah,
it always was. I mean, I made $21,000 a year, right, starting out of school, and then you move your way up, but it takes a little while, but you're in a newsroom where the energy is so great, and you make friends, and the people different age groups, and you can see people there who are making a good living. You can see that's what it could eventually happen.
There's hope.
There's hope there.
You know, and dreams,
and yet you know there aren't many jobs in this world where every night you get that high putting out a paper. Like you don't, the energy of a deadline, the excitement of a newsroom, the buzz of listening to like, and this is why Matt Mancarini, both times he's been at the LSJ, has been so valuable, because he'll be on the phone with city officials or somebody just giving a really tough interview, and young reporters will hear that. And now young reporters often go in like a huddle room. They go away. They don't want to do their interviews in front of everybody. Back in the day, I mean, like everybody did their, you just hear like, you know, some great reporter a few cubicles over, just giving the business to some big official, and like, no, screw that. This is the, you know, and it was, oh man, that dynamic that does not exist in a small newsroom anymore, in a place without the print deadlines, it's just not. It's not as fun, and the money's not any better. So, like, why would you stay in?
Speaking of Matt Mancarini, when you and Rexrode were talking about the law firm for Michigan and the $12 million, I'm with you. I would hire Matt.
Yes,
I would pay him $250K if I was Michigan. Have him and give me that investigation. They would never do that. Yeah. But I mean, if we're sitting there, like you mentioned, you're right.
He'd be
about
better
lawyers.
at finding it. Right.
Lawyers are good at hiding stuff. Give me an investigative journalist like Mancarini to do stuff like that. I want to read it.
Yeah. No.
He should do that anyway, and then sell it as a book. I don't know. Like, I'd read that shit.
Some of his strength, I would hire him to do certain things at big publications. That he's at Bridge Magazine now, and I think they're gonna reap the benefits of that, and hopefully it's a job that treats him really well.
The magazine industry.
Well, it's mostly it's not really it's not like that. Anyway,
that's our Glory Days segment for the day, guys.
Yeah, that is. And by the way, if you want to have a power lunch where you rehash the glory days over a few beers, let me tell you, no better place than Front 43 and Cask and Company. Front 43, kind of a pub side, and I was with Matt Mancarini about 14 beers in, watching like Purdue, Missouri. Purdue not cover that night in 2018 when I was like, this place would be a good sponsor. And went and found the GM, struck up a relationship, and they became our very first sponsor after the show began.
Hammered. Maybe you should get a couple of beers in you when we do these sales things then.
You can go to caskandcompany.com, make a reservation, sit on either side, great date night, underrated patio, and also the private room, of course, good drink selection, great modern American and Asian menu, caskandcompany.com. We will be right back, and we're going to talk some Tigers and some Lions here. Couch in the Roob, presented by Front 43 and Cask and Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Firekeeper's online casino and sportsbook is the site to play. From your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Please like and subscribe to the Couch in the Roob YouTube channel. Also, download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtheroob.com.
Couch in the Roob, our Wednesday show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar near the Lansing-East Lansing border on East Saginaw. Go to caskandcompany.com for reservations. Check out the menu. Order, reserve the private room, and just have lunch in peace and quiet by yourself. All right. The Tigers are in this mode, Jason, where, are they going to sell? Are they still in the hunt in this division?
So much fun.
And it's like, You realize they're not a very good team every time they face a good team. And then you get the Cubs who have had their struggles but have had an okay year. The problem the Tigers have right now is outside of like Troy Melton, and I guess Scooble's back and all, there's just not a lot. Like the guy they were supposed to be able to count on to carry them a lot this year, and this has been part of the problem, Framber Valdez, just hasn't been consistent. And then you get a night like last night in Chicago.
Yeah.
And
where he doesn't even last a half inning.
It's
that's where, because are we overreacting? Because Valdez before the season. We were excited about the signing. Like, you know what I mean? You can't sit there and fault Scott Harris on this signing because we did want them to go out and get some left-handed pitching. They did. But now the way he's pitching throughout the season, it just, it's easy to get annoyed by, especially something like last night. That was an absolute shit show, right? Especially for a guy. I mean, like July 9th was pitching. He had 9 strikeouts against the Athletics, and then two weeks later, this happens last night. So it's like, I know that maybe it's an overreaction to it, but it just feels, and I felt this way for the past couple weeks of like, what are we doing? And I tune in and I watch, But it's just like, do I feel like this team is going to compete in a playoff scenario? And I still can't buy into that.
No, because they haven't yet had a really good series against a good team. That I think for me, it's not just about whether you can be in a bad division and get hot for a week and maybe find out yourself near the top of it. It's whether you're actually good. And, you can have a horrible month and then turn out to be a pretty good team. I think they were that a couple years ago when they made that run. They wound up being a pretty good team. But you said
pretty good. Like, I want to know, like, does it seem real? Does it feel real?
No, it's not real.
Because we have some decisions to make this season.
You know how you know it's not real? Because every time, and I feel very confident in this, when they face a good team, I feel very confident all series long putting bets against them. And I'm not
been that way forever.
Yeah, but this is
now Jack Flaherty, he's on the 15-day IL.
Which but and the what's really the mistake that Vegas makes is they make the Tigers big favorites when Skubal pitches, and the Tigers lose like more than half the time Skubal pitches. So that's where you really make your money. But it's because of their schedule, it's hard to know. Like here's they play in Chicago. This is Wednesday night, and there's a lot of Tigers fans there. By the way, a couple of buddies who were at the game who live in Chicago just said they were like, why are there so many Tigers fans here? And I think it's because it's easier to get Wrigley tickets in the middle of the week, and it's a great road trip in the middle of July.
I need to get to Wrigley.
Have you ever been?
I've not.
Oh, it's worth it. It's not. It's changed
I definitely
a little
would
bit.
be. I guarantee you. Yeah, we just never do it.
When Elizabeth had that apartment 3 blocks north of Wrigley, it was before they got great. So we're talking 2014 to 16, like the early parts of that when we used to go down and be able to get scalp easy tickets. It was the best.
So wait, when you guys moved out of there, then that's when they won the World Series.
Yeah, she moved out.
That's really bad timing.
It wasn't. I mean, we went down the night they won the World Series. We watched in Chicago, but we were there parts of 2016. It got harder to scalp tickets for a decent price because we would go down, and Elizabeth was the greatest negotiator with a scalper. Because she had no interest in going to the game for a bad price. She would just assume go home and do something else.
She had a good poker face.
Unbelievable. It wasn't even a poker face. It was a real face.
Right.
Yeah. And so, if you and we want to go to the game, we're going to come to an agreement. Everybody's going to get a fair price. Elizabeth, I would keep money Elizabeth didn't know about in my other pocket to actually pay the scalper more than the I would.
Were you slipping him with 20 because you felt bad?
No, to get the price where I needed to go. Like if she wasn't really paying attention, how about we do this and not say the amount? And he'd look at it, and we kind of look at each other, and I'd be like, just fucking take it, man. Don't deal with this, or I'm not going in. You're not, because we would go down like second inning too. So they're getting desperate. Third inning, we're coming down, and we're 3 blocks away. We don't have to go. There are lots of restaurants and bars. We can go back home. Anyway, she was great at that. Great. If you ever need, bring her in as a negotiator if you're going to go to an athletic event, because she loved going. She loved, like, the song "Go Cubs Go" when they won. Like, if that was her big reason for rooting for them. She loved everybody singing that song at the end. And when they lost, she'd be like, "Oh, that sucks. We can't sit around and sing that." But anyway, they're in Chicago tonight, and then it's Royals, which is a big series, by the way, in Detroit against Kansas City. They've got to but Royals, Orioles, A's, before they go out and play a good team like the Mariners, and they're out west after that. So they got basically, I would say, 9 games. Is that what it is? No, it's 4 against the Royals. So they got 10 games against the Royals, Orioles, and Athletics that takes you up to, August 2nd is the trade deadline? August 3rd? So it basically takes you up to the trade deadline. So that, I mean, the problem with that is they could go in those 10 games 6-4. What does that mean? That doesn't mean to me that you're a team that's serious. What I wish is the next 10 games had the 10 games that followed that, which are Mariners, Giants on the road, and then Guardians because I just think you'd get a better sense of things. If they go 7-3 during that stretch, you go, all right, what the hell? Let's see what's going on.
That's why I hate this team this year, because you just don't know what to do. And then we come on and do this show, and then you complain, and then they go on to rip off a 5-game win streak, and then you're like, oh, then you buy back in, and then you pull the rug underneath you.
Would you, with Skubal as they get there, would you rather lose Skubal for draft compensation after making a playoff run? So even if they were to,
but what's the playoff run?
Okay,
what do you can? I mean, you know what I mean? Like what? Again, if I'm saying that I don't believe that this team could do anything in a playoff series against any team that we would face in the playoffs, even though with the AL, a lot of underperforming teams, right? But what is a playoff run? Win a divisional, win the wild card, or something like that. I'm talking like I want to make an ALCS at least minimum. Or we trade him. Like, I'm just sick of being held hostage. He seems like he doesn't want to be here. We've already said all of that stuff before, but that's how I feel currently, and I don't see it changing any. So I want to make sure we just don't get ripped off. I'd like to get a starter in return and some young players.
And some prospects. You need a starter ready to go in, young in prospects.
Just go, all right, Tarek, it's been real. Go have fun in L.A. or New York or wherever.
One of the best things I've read in terms of the market that might be there for him is, so part of the reason I for a while I thought, boy, this could be an intriguing team is if Valdez was pitching well and you had a healthy Skubal and Mize was healthy and the way Melton's pitching, so take Mize out of it, just with Melton. Say you got 3 guys who are rolling like that, you like your chances in a series of being difficult at the very least, right? And I just that's part
then you
of
see our bats, and then you're like,
yeah, and the bullpen not great. But
Carps he's still on a terrible streak there.
But that's the problem with the Valdez situation. If he had a great season, you'd go, well, boy, if you could get in a series with these guys and you had 3 pitchers, but part of the reason I think that there's going to be value, and I want to say this was an article I read on ESPN that pointed this out, and I apologize for not having it right, but like the Dodgers, for example, don't need Skubal for this team necessarily, but what they may fear a team like the Braves or Brewers picking him up and making their rotation really difficult in the series. So the Dodgers, who have a lot of prospects and have young starters to give, might do it out of fear to keep him away from a competitor. And I don't care how the market's created for him in this scenario, but if you can get a young starter from the Dodgers and 2 or 3 quality prospects, that would be, to me, that's a no-brainer. This team is not doing the question with Skubal becomes when the offers aren't great, when it's like, it's 2 okay prospects and there's no starter coming back and that's the best that's being out there. At that point, I don't know. But like if the deal's decent, this team is not good enough not to do it. No matter what. I don't care if they win 8 out of 10.
And when you hear draft compensation, obviously it's a different animal from Major League Baseball, because draft compensation, then you draft a player, and then you won't see him for like 6-7 years. Right. So it's not as fun. You lose Skubal, and you're basically, I know that you get some compensation, but really it's not compensation. It's a long-term thing.
It's a long thing.
It's just a complete ass.
Yeah.
And I just hate having it. It's just been hanging over our heads for like a full year. We knew like this is going to be the scenario that we would find ourselves in, and it's not fun. Well, maybe you sit there and you watch Framber Valdez not even get out of a half inning that he's owed $40 million to. I can see Chris Ilitch like all of a sudden rooting for a strike so he doesn't have to pay Framber next year $40 million. I could see Ilitch doing that. Like, why not? Yeah, let's cancel baseball.
He probably is rooting for the strike, actually, yeah.
Save me some money.
Anyway. All right, one more thing we should get into here a little bit. The Detroit Lions. We're starting to get. It's starting to. We're getting close to training camp here.
Is it?
Finally. Well, finally. I mean, it's
the only training camp thing I see is people are bitching about not being able to get tickets.
It's a late
training camp.
It's a late Labor Day, so everything's late this year. But we're getting there. The juices are starting to flow. You're seeing it with the number of MSU football conversations we're getting. I think people are ready. We're now in this complete dead period, post World Cup, post Wimbledon, post all the golf majors and all that stuff. We're like we just got to get through the next few weeks, and this is what's next. And you said to me before the show that you were struggling and not really all that into it, and then you started looking into it.
Well, I mean, I always follow Lions news.
Right.
It's just like watching these NFL Live pops on the TV, and I'm just like, I can't do it yet. Like at Lions news, I always, Michigan fan Jordan and I send stuff back and forth to each other, so I do stay in the know there. But it's hard to, at this time in July, start getting excited about certain things. But looking at the secondary, because I always was like, man, what is the secondary going to look like with Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch? Like I expect Brian Branch to be fully ready to go this season at some point, but it goes to Graham's take that actually I agree with a little bit of like sometimes you should hold some of these guys out 7 or 8 weeks to have them in a stretch run. But when you look at some of the guys that are backing up here, you still have DJ Reed, Rock Ya-Sin. I'm a big fan of Rock Ya-Sin, but I mean, like, how many of these games in the first, like, I don't know when Branch, especially there's no timeline on Kirby Joseph.
Yeah.
And of course, Terry and Arnold's absolutely gone. So I'm just sitting there going like, okay, well, how are we going to get through this stretch if we're worried about Kirby Joseph and Branch? Like, how are we going to do it for 6 or 7 games? Are we just going to patch it? Are we going to try to score 45 points a game?
And the sad thing is we've seen that. And maybe the offense will be better. Second year, since they lost Ben Johnson. Last year was kind of a house of horrors of the offensive line and other things. I think they will be better offensively. I think it'll be I think they'll be a wagon offensively. But we just seen that the other side of this, and it'd be too debilitating. And I
want to see the offensive line too. I mean, that's another big thing. I mean, I know that we're doing the secondary here, but also, I mean, we need that offensive line to have that pop back so we can have the running game. Montgomery gone. We got Isaac Pacheco that people are excited about. Another guy that's kind of injury prone. I'm going to miss Montgomery, but yeah, those are the big storylines so far at the end of July for the Lions for me.
All right, one last thing I wanted to mention that I probably should have mentioned a little earlier, although I don't know when. No, the end of the show makes sense. Tre Holloman was back at Moneyball last night on Tuesday night.
Bull in a china closet.
Look, it was interesting because I actually ran into Tre Holloman. He talked about having a kid in Lansing. I ran into Tre Holloman at the McLaren maternity ward when his girlfriend was having, I think, like a week before.
Did he look at you and go, "What are you? Oh, you're visiting your grandson?"
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. No, we chatted for a minute. It was good to see him. Trey and I always got along really well, and I always liked him. And I was surprised when he left at the time. Although, as we've talked here, as I went back through those last conversations, now I hear them in my head and I listen to them in my recorder, and it's like he was saying goodbye essentially. But it's interesting that he was pretty open about certain things. Like he said, "This is home for me. I was here for 3 years. My daughter's from Lansing, and I live in Lansing, so this is home." And asked if he would change how things went or do things differently. He said, "No comment." We all know he would. He's been in contact with Izzo, other people. Like it didn't work out how he wanted it to work out.
Let's hear his thoughts on Will Wade. That would be good. Next Wednesday, let's get Trey on.
Trey on for Will Wade. Yeah. Now, in Carson Cooper, and this is Chris Solari's story, and some other people had stories on him as well, said Carson Cooper said of Tre Holloman, "It's a tough moment for sure. Definitely kind of a learning moment and teaching moment, not just for him, but for everybody. Everybody kind of understands what the portal is. Everyone says the grass isn't greener everywhere, so it's just really got to be a good situation when people leave. It's tough, but hopefully you can get a shot somewhere."
And do many people fault Tre Holloman, though? I mean, I understand the way it happened with, after the Michigan thing and the shoving and stuff and thinking like, all right, next season, and then him going elsewhere to NC State, right? Because he was kind of that first guy, especially with a guy like Will Wade and the way college sports, that direction was heading.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will, because
you make mistakes in life, and that's what you kind of chalk it up to with Trey.
I think he will be well accepted at Michigan State over time. I think that'll soften. There are some people, he won't be the legend he could have been.
No.
Without being a great player, he could have been a legend. Because of what he did against Michigan and because of sort of he felt like he embodied the program, and then so he lost that part of things. But and he'll, that's just something he'll have to deal with. I mean, that's the punishment for the mistake he made. The Lions,
but I don't think people are holding it against him to where he can't show up at stuff where he's not going to be acknowledged with positive reception, right? He'll be more than an Alan Haller clap.
He'll get a better applause than Alan Haller.
Right.
The question now is Haller versus J Bat, and that
I think Haller.
Well, tomorrow it's Haller without question.
Yeah.
Where J Bat would win it is if 10 years from now, Michigan State's on its 4th straight playoff appearance under Pat Fitzgerald and humming along with Spartan Ventures, and he was only there a year, but what he created is pretty amazing. And
I don't think you give back credit. Though,
he'd also have to do some. People want to hear you care about a place,
right?
And I don't think people sense that J-Bat does. I think they know Tre Holloman cares about Michigan State. They know Alan Haller cares about Michigan State. I think what J-Bat would have to do in some interview years from now would have to also say, like, hey, I really didn't want to leave. I panicked because the guy who brought me in, Kevin Guskowitz, the guy basically said this place is a train wreck. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And I looked around and it broke my heart to leave. He would have to say something like that, where he showed some real,
or how much he hated the board of trustees, and then how am I going to turn down $3 million?
Yeah,
I get that. All right, Jay. Makes sense.
Anyway, well, good show, man.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
we got some 3M picks, my friend.
Oh my gosh,
how dare you? We got
Norm Skulpitz. I apologize.
Can't go home and tell him we didn't get to his picks.
No, jeez, you
crazy little bastard.
Claw your eyes out.
All right, 3M, Minnesota, baby. First round leader. My boy Jake Knapp at plus 4,500, 45-1. One of the most explosive starters in the field. If he gets that driver going, keeps it steady. I mean, the guy's shot a 62 before in the PGA Tour. I think he can do it. Garrett Higo. It's kind of a long shot, 105-1. Streaky birdie guy. He's the guy that showed up late for his tee time and was penalized. But still, at 105-1, nice little shot. Throwing a dime on that. Lanto Griffin, 140-1. Now, I got this, we goof on Graham for getting tips from Dan Kilbridge, and I listen to a lot of golf podcasts, and the Norm model actually had Lanto Griffin because he does have some good first-round numbers. So I figured I got this pick from another podcast. So I'll, shout out Jeff Feinberg. Lanto Griffin, 140-1. Why not? 3 first-round leaders. You kind of fire out there, Graham. But we're going to get conservative now. We're going to do top 40. William Mao, elite power off the tee. Trending upward. A lot of people like William Mao. General Mao, they call him. Shooter Shan, Yella Miraju. These are all top 40, by the way. The Canadian having a breakout season this year. Learned how to play, Graham. Learned how to play golf from YouTube. Fascinating. Lefty. And finally, to round out this top 40, Kita Nakajima. I'm being told that he's one of the best value plays in the field. Outstanding long iron player who fits this course much better than what the odds are giving out. Top 40 plus 652. Let's go to top 20. Max Homa, who's quietly having a pretty good season. He's been improving over the last month. Keeps those irons hot. I look at a top 20 for Max. And the guy who won this tournament last year, my boy Kurt Kitayama, who owes me a little bit of money. I got to say, I put some money on Kurt Kitayama the past month. Hasn't really come through. Top 20, Max Homa, Kurt Kitayama, plus 480. And let's get to the outrights. We talked about William Mao. Why not? Outright, 98-1. Up next, Zach Bauschu at 110-1. And Austin Smotherman, 120-1. He's playing better than most realize at 121 to win an outright. I mean, come on. You can sprinkle a little bit on that. Kita Nakajima, we talked about him as well. Why not sprinkle for him to win the whole thing at 92-1? A guy that we saw at the Open and at the Scottish, Jordan Smith, playing really well at 46-1. Troy Merritt. Now, this is an absolute bomb. This is my friend John's. This guy, he was sending me stuff about this guy. John knows way more about golf than I do. And when you don't know as much about other people, you listen to him. But Troy Merritt at 825-1. Can you imagine this, Graham? If this hits, I'm not coming in Monday. There's no way. I'm going to be at Red Lobster.
What? I mean, 825. There must be some flaws in his game.
He's a Minnesota native.
Okay.
He knows the course a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's 825-1. We're just sprinkling, baby.
Yeah, put $1,000 on it.
Well, Jesus, let's not get crazy here. Come on.
Sorry.
1-800-GAMBLER here. And finally, I spoke with my boy, first-round leader. I know there's questions about his wrist and some of the injuries that he's had. It's been a brutal past couple of months for my boy Jake Knapp, but I got to say, I got to have money on him to win something here. 34-1 outright. Oh, what happened here? All right, those are the 3M.
Oh, get excited.
Kicked over. Yeah. Those are the 3M Norm golf bets.
Oh, man, I'm telling you right now, if you want to watch the 3M Open in the Twin Cities this weekend, you can do so. Yeah. If you got 46 bets on the golf too, at Front 43 in Cask and Company. Get your bets in, of course, on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, or head on down to Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook. But if you got a date night, you got lunch, you just want to hang out, and you got a friend like Joe Rexrode or Matt Mencarini you want to have a beer with, and a few drinks with, and chat. Front 43 in Cask and Company, no better place. I'm telling you right now. Go to caskandcompany.com for the menu. We appreciate Joe Rexrode. We appreciate Front 43 and Cask and Company. And we appreciate intern Nolan. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.